Do you know where he's waiting? Right there in front of him. Do you really think that Baki can win? They're arguably the most powerful fighters on the Earth. And to be perfectly frank, Yujiro...
Shiokara made of salmon innards.
Yes, you are quite the gourmet.
As everyone knows, my blood runs through his veins. He descends from the Hanma line.
Good grief, your ego is amazing. By the way, Ogre...
To fight. When it's over, I'll eat whoever's left standing.
I've gotta be next. I'm not gonna let anyone else fight Pickle before I do. We'll just stay right here, breathing the same air.
You mean that T-Rex that was discovered alongside him in the salt mine?
It's a priceless and irreplaceable scientific specimen. I'm aware of that.
How much would this be worth? 90 pounds of real Tyrannosaurus Rex meat.
Wait, seriously? Well, okay, if you insist. Yeah, I feel pretty stuffed too. Ugh.
So far, the results are very promising.
What results?
By then, I think we'll be able to reproduce it in massive quantities, which means that Pickle will always be well fed.
Cheers.
Cheers! All right, never mind him then. What does a Yakuza think? What does a fighting master like yourself think?
Don't worry about that, noble elder. Pickle thinks the way we do. The finest men and the finest women will always find each other when they're in the same room. They're in a fighting arena, and something's gonna happen.
He knew that this man was trying to provoke him. In fact, it was gentle. But it was this very gentleness that provoked Pickle's rage. Lorien was the heavy favorite, but the fight proved to be shockingly difficult.
It was that little pat on the cheek he gave me! The jerk! No one insults me like that!
You took my slaps as an insult, and it got you mad enough to want to fight. And that means...
Pride!
Good Lord, Baki has knocked him down!
Yes, with a vicious high roundhouse kick. Just a means for hunting and eating. That fighting is a culture unto itself. Pickle can understand.
He's gonna kill him! No, Baki, don't!
We're just fighting, Pickle.
No, he isn't.
That's the idea, Pickle. Now you're starting to get the picture. We are really high up, man.
Is Baki Hanma really that tough of a warrior?
It's just like the time I fell from the top of the jungle gym when I was a kid. Feel my internal organs are in total chaos from the shock of hitting the ground. That salty taste. I feel like I want to fall to my knees. Collapse on the ground. It's like my legs are...
But the primitive man saw through him. His playmate might appear to be fine, and inside, he was writhing in pain. The humiliation of seeing his opponent pray for him, and he found that he could hardly speak.
Come at me, stupid son of a bitch.
But the experienced fighters knew what it meant.
It's too much.
Everyone's afraid of them, but you're perfectly safe when I use them like this. In the past, Baki's endorphins had been triggered by physical damage. They had hit him where it hurts the most, in his pride.
I'm sorry, Pickle. Me. But I don't need your pity, old man.
What is Baki doing?
Or feigning weakness. Or by things trying to trick your eyes in order to avoid detection. Such a camouflage as this exist? Could death be a camouflage?
I can't speak with certainty, but I have an idea. Whether it's ancient dinosaurs, that's why he struck him. With just the surface of the skin.
True, unexplainable knockouts like that have been known to happen.
The jaw, and imperceptibly, the brain, at a super high speed invisible to the naked eye. Once with his right fist, and once with the heel of his foot. The ground is coming up to meet him.
A man who had been on the verge of death, who hadn't even begun to recover from his injuries. He had overcome blows. He had overcome weight. He had overcome strength by small men with the strength of giants. And he had overcome pain, too. Pickle couldn't do that. Make the ground move like that.
I still haven't recovered from the first fall, let alone a second. Wish I didn't have to, but I'm gonna do something that's a little bit mean.
It's a hybrid form of martial arts. In Kung Fu, it's known as Columbus's egg. At this point, it's no longer a question of looking for an opponent's weak spots. A blow to it from a perfectly flaccid hand is equally painful. The intensity of the pain will be the same.
You may be right. Where are you going with this?
Of the many millions of creatures that have developed over that time, the human female, women have been known to do it.
Even he has to defend himself.
For him, the situation...
Baki's attack stung him badly.
Right before he attacked me, and brought our match to an end. What? Kokeiken?
What's Kokeiken?
Yosoken. But I hope you haven't forgotten, Baki. Of all those beasts you so perfectly emulated, what's this? What are you going to emulate next? And big, enormous. An elephant, a rhino.
And yet, in this small, supposedly helpless figure, those things, all those things, in this body.
Size has nothing to do with it. I'm twice the size he is.
Whoa! It's a flying bird! Is that what he's doing?
He had been utterly transformed into the mightiest beasts that roamed the earth. The weapons of three powerful foes combined in one creature. The teeth, the horns, the talons, the beak.
Now I get it.
No matter the opponent, whenever they meet, it's their first fight that a man achieved a fully horizontal starting position for the first time. The time it took for him to make contact with Baki Hanma was less than a second.
It all happened in the blink of an eye. That's how he was able to stop a beast that weighed 5 tons. This time, it would be even more devastating. I thought, there's the aroma, the richness, the texture of the rice, the subtlety of the spices. He dropped his stance and faced Pickle. He just stood there. Not just staggered or knocked backwards, but literally sent flying. All that Baki had done was flick his hand, like shooing away a fly.
Very impressive. You're one tough bastard.
More like he threw himself. The stronger the forward thrust of an object.
So if you think of Pickle as a bullet, with all of a bullet's force, it was the heavyweight title fight between the champion Sonny Liston and the young Cassius Clay for causing the injury. But they had it wrong.
You see that, Pickle? I peed in 8 different spots. No T-Rex, Triceratops, Pteranodon. Enough of that, right? I want to do it this way at least once. You really are strong, aren't you? There's no doubt about that. When I think of superhuman strength like this, that's who I think of. He'd take Pickle on, head to head. Man, that would be a fight for he'd take Pickle on face to face. Well, of course, face to face. What other way is there? I wonder how that fight went in. That's not it. I have lived to win. To be the best. No, don't be stupid. Why would I admire him? But there is one thing. You could say I trust him. Dodge these attacks. I know I'd be in serious trouble if just one of these blows landed.
It was like he was in a bullfight, and he was the matador.
This was speed beyond speed. He learned that it wasn't so easy to deal with. He was sure he'd caught at that time stones and even knives. But at the last second, he said he had passed through his opponent. This, of course, was physically impossible.
Or even my own teacher, Master Kaku, the greatest living kung fu fighter.
Which he now thrust into his prey's most sensitive spot. It penetrated deep. He could predict what was coming from similar blows in his two previous battles.
It's not about size. Their importance is far from small. The testicles, liver, stomach, or even the brain. So they're kept outside of the body, with their only protection, a very thin layer of skin.
So I guess it's over then.
In that moment, as you collapse, your expression tells it all. Your strength of heart.
Both their bodies were trembling with nervous anticipation.
That face. That stance.
The sort of wounds that might have come from the slash of a falchion.
Looks like he was shot with a machine gun. He certainly didn't get those here.
We were stunned when we saw the same scars ran across his back. Pickle was a man who had survived the jaws of a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
This is when the real battle begins, right?
Was truly uncanny.
I'm touched, Pickle. I'll just take your transformation as a sign of respect.
This is what this primordial man has taught us.
I'm right here, within your range. I'm not going anywhere. I bet I know what you're thinking. How am I still here after that punch? You see, we've learned a few things since your time. Things like the martial arts. So, if that's the case, how can I even fight you? Conscious formation of the fist, the instinctive placement of the feet, the natural breathing fed on hatred, and passed down through sorrow.
It was the same with him. All those teeth, claws, and horns.
Oh, now I get it.
Pushing aside the claws was Retsu.
I have never faced a more formidable opponent. What do I do in this situation? That's my... Huh. You have to anticipate your opponent's moves, get into his flow.
But even more important is its effect on your opponent's morale. When a fighter, any fighter, forgets that he can be hit, even as strong and tough a fighter as Pickle.
Though the great majority of his victories had come from technical knockouts and not 10 counts.
A clever counterpunch comes out of nowhere. A complete surprise to the opponent. That's how he forced Pickle back against the ropes.
Whenever I was attacked, this is what I did. Against great size, I won.
He's cornered Pickle!
He had never encountered moves like this, or such mystifying fighting skills.
Pickle is trying to take cover, but it's not working. Everywhere he goes.
The huge difference in size, the vast disparity in strength. A bad habit was born. As he gazed at the other's outthrust fists, he had carelessly thrown away a sure victory earned by his skills. Pickle executed a move. The primordial man had acquired a new weapon.
Pickle's not even trying to move, and Baki couldn't move if he tried.
So clearly, Pickle won.
And huge. For him to have acquired that weapon as well.
That's funny coming from you, Kaoru Hanayama. You were born with strength to spare. Retsu, who lives by martial arts, and Hanayama, who lives by masculinity. You are... Though Professor Payne will probably throw a fit.
Whenever he's hurt and feeling depressed, there's a sight he longs to see.
All the way back to a time before history, when none of this was here.
On that same day in Washington, D.C., a secret meeting was taking place at the
Without having the Secret Service hiding in the woodwork. Which, when you think about it, well, allow me to get straight to the point then. Ever since the time of my predecessor, Ronald Reagan, and I must say, when I first heard about it,
Just get on with it, will you?
That the United States of America will do its utmost to maintain an amicable relationship. President of the United States, Barack Obama. Now, that's not something that most folks get a chance to see with their own eyes.
You're no different than President Bosch. It's not worth as much as a real one.
Oh, damn.
After all, it's only because of human curiosity that he's even here. Professor Payne.
Will Pickle fit in any better in a society in the distant future?
Pickle is our responsibility, and we should resolve this situation.
Tell me, Mr. Stridham, promise. How can you make a promise to someone who doesn't even understand language?
Until it was finally resolved to allow the people of the world to decide his fate. A decision was made.
What's your reaction?
Those 1,000 votes are proof that humanity are fools. What in the world is this?